The message that changed everything in my life arrived before the sun did. At exactly 5:37 in the morning, my phone buzzed against the wooden nightstand, pulling me out of a half-dream where nothing made sense yet everything felt safe. My cat was curled behind my knee, warm and heavy, grounding me in that quiet moment. I remember blinking slowly, reaching for my phone without thinking, expecting something ordinary like a notification or a reminder. Instead, I saw a message from my bank. It was short, cold, final. Your account access has been temporarily suspended pending verification of recent authorization changes. I read it once, then again, then a third time, because my brain refused to process what my eyes were seeing. Something about it felt wrong in a way I couldn't explain yet. My chest tightened as I sat up abruptly, and my cat slid off the bed with a soft thud of protest. I opened my banking app with shaky hands, and there it was. A red banner stretched across the screen like a warning sign. Access denied. Beneath it, smaller text instructed me to contact my branch for assistance, as if this was something minor, something routine. But deep down, I already knew it wasn't. Before I tell you what happened next, you need to understand what that account meant to me. That money had been sitting untouched, protected, and quietly waiting in my name for over a decade. $520,000. My grandfather had created that trust for me when I was barely out of my teens. During a time when my life felt like it was slipping out of my control, I had been working through college, juggling classes and jobs, while my parents borrowed money from me in ways that never quite felt temporary. They always said they would pay me back, but somehow, they never did. My grandfather noticed. He didn't confront them, and he didn't make a scene. That wasn't his way. Instead, he did something far more powerful. He went to a lawyer, set up a trust in my name alone, and made sure that no one else, especially my mother, could access it. I remember the day he handed me the paperwork in his kitchen. The smell of coffee lingered in the air, and the sunlight came in through the window behind him, making everything feel strangely calm. He looked at me with a seriousness I hadn't seen before and told me that the money was mine, that I needed to protect it, and that people would try to convince me otherwise. He didn't say who. He didn't have to. He passed away not long after that, and for years I honored what he had given me. I used the money carefully, only when absolutely necessary. I paid off my student loans. I used part of it to put a down payment on a small brick house on a quiet street where I lived alone with my cat and my routine. That account wasn't just money, it was independence, it was security. It was the one thing in my life that no one could take from me. Or at least, that's what I believed. That morning, sitting on the edge of my bed with my heart racing, I made the first mistake that would haunt me for months. I called my mother. Looking back, I know exactly why I did it. It wasn't logic, it wasn't strategy. It was something deeper, something rooted in years of hoping she would be the person I needed her to be. A part of me still believed that if something was wrong, she would care, that she would help. She answered on the second ring. That alone should have warned me. My mother had never been an early riser. Not once in my entire life had she picked up the phone before 7 in the morning. But that day, she sounded completely awake, as if she had been expecting the call. She said my name in a flat, controlled tone that immediately made my stomach tighten. No warmth, no concern, just my name. I told her what had happened, trying to keep my voice steady, asking if she knew anything about it. There was a pause on the other end of the line, but it wasn't confusion, it was calculation. Then she began to explain. She told me that she and my father had recently spoken with a financial advisor, that they had been worried about me for some time, and that they had decided to step in to help manage my finances. She mentioned stress at work, my breakup months earlier, and painted a picture of me as someone unstable, overwhelmed, incapable. As she spoke, I felt something shift inside me. It wasn't shock yet. It was something older, something familiar. The same feeling I had known since childhood. Every time she dismissed my emotions, every time she redefined reality in a way that made me question myself. I asked her directly what she had done. My father's voice came through in the background, calm and controlled as always. He explained that they had obtained legal authority to act on my behalf. He said there was documentation, that a doctor had evaluated me, and that everything they had done was within their rights. A doctor, a letter, a legal document. Every word he said landed like a weight pressing down on my chest. I demanded to know which doctor had evaluated me, because I knew for a fact that no such thing had ever happened. My mother interrupted before he could answer, telling me not to worry about the details, insisting that they were only trying to help. That was the moment something inside me snapped into clarity. I hung up, no goodbye, no hesitation, just silence. For about a minute and a half, My body reacted before my mind could catch up. My hands trembled uncontrollably, my teeth chattered, and it felt like the world had tilted off its axis. Then, just as suddenly as it started, the shaking stopped. In its place came something else, something cold, focused, unyielding. I called the bank. I told them I would be there the moment they opened. I used words like fraud and unauthorized access. I demanded to speak to someone in charge. The woman on the line listened carefully and assured me that my account would be flagged for immediate review. I didn't contact my parents again. Instead, I got ready. I showered, dressed with intention, and chose clothes that made me feel composed and in control. I put on the small gold earrings my grandfather had given me years ago, as if carrying a piece of his strength with me. The drive to the bank was when everything began to fall into place. I replayed conversations in my head, remembered details I had ignored, and slowly began to see the pattern. My sister came to mind, and with her, a quiet realization that settled in my chest like a certainty. She had been involved. By the time I arrived at the bank, I knew this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a plan. Inside, the manager showed me the documents, the forged signature, the fake medical letter, the fabricated authority. Everything looked almost real, but not quite. Close enough to pass a quick glance, but not enough to fool someone who knew what they were looking at. And I did. I saw the flaw in the signature immediately. A small detail, something personal, something no one else would think to replicate. That was when the final piece fell into place. This wasn't just betrayal. It was deliberate, calculated, and illegal. When the manager asked if I wanted to file a fraud report, I didn't hesitate. Yes, what followed unfolded like something out of a story I never imagined I would live through. Police were called, evidence was collected. And exactly as I predicted, my parents showed up at the bank not long after, ready to perform their version of the truth. But this time, it didn't work, because for the first time in my life, I had spoken first. I had told my story before they could rewrite it. They were arrested that day. All of them. My parents, my sister, her husband. The investigation revealed everything: the fake doctor, the forged documents, the involvement of multiple people in creating a lie so elaborate it almost succeeded. The trial lasted nearly a year, and in the end, the truth held. They were convicted, sentenced, held accountable. I sat in that courtroom and watched as the consequences of their choices unfolded in front of them, not with anger, but with a quiet understanding. This wasn't about revenge. It was about reality, about finally seeing things as they were, not as I wished them to be. Today my life is quieter. The trust is still mine. Protected more carefully than ever. My home is still mine. My name is still mine, with the small detail in my signature that no one else could replicate. I still think about that morning sometimes, not because I miss them, but because it taught me something I should have learned long ago. People don't suddenly become who they are. They show you slowly, over time, in ways so small you almost ignore them, until one day, they do something so undeniable that you can't look away anymore. And when that moment comes, you have a choice. You can keep pretending, or you can finally believe what you see. That morning, I chose to believe it, and that choice changed everything.